My name is Carol Storr, and my pronouns are her and hers. I'm a member of the First Unitarian Welcoming Congregation team. Welcome to First Unitarian Church, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness. No matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming, we greet you today with love.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mordecai. My pronouns are him, they, and I will be lighting the chalice this morning. We light this chalice as a symbol of our sacred time together. The burning chalice represents the light of reason and science, the warmth of a loving community, the cleansing heat of justice, and the flame of hope.
Good morning. You might notice that I'm looking a little casual today. I'm wearing my tie-dye t-shirt from Chalice Camp, which happened in person this last week. By all accounts, it was a huge success. I want to thank our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, Tim Atkins, and Chair of the LRE team, Sherry Fair, and all of the volunteers who made this year's Chalice Camp possible. This was our first foray back into in-person church life. It was different from years past, but judging by all the laughter and the smiling eyes, you couldn't always see the smiling mouths because of the masks. It was still wonderful. So thank you all so much to everyone who made that happen. We open our service today with these words from Reverend Hannah Roberts Villeneuve, who is minister at the UU Church of Cheyenne, Wyoming. She writes, "People sometimes ask, is pride a protest or a party? And the answer is, of course, yes. And why not? Why not rejoice as we resist, dance as we demand change, celebrate as we create community that delights in all of who we are? So bring all of that with you this morning. Bring your policy demands, bring your glitter. Bring your Supreme Court broken hearts, bring your rainbow socks. Bring the emptiness you feel for our siblings gone too soon. Bring your Gloria Estefan remix. Bring your tender hope for change. Bring your most garish eyeshadow. Bring your spirit tattered and battered by a world that seems insistent on choosing fear and hate. Gather up all these things and bring them here to a place where we don't have to shoulder these burdens or celebrate these joys alone. Come, let us worship together. Our opening hymn comes from our gray hymnal, number 305, De Colores, which is traditional Spanish folk with words by David Arkin, performed here by Becky Talent and Warren Palmer, and thanks to Chris Gonzalez for doing the recording and the video.
De colores son los canaritos
We have a special reflection today from Reverend Manish Mishra-Marzetti, Senior Minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan, speaking on behalf of the Colors of Pride Interfaith Initiative.
Greetings. I'm the Reverend Manish Mishra-Marzetti, serving as Senior Minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm also an openly gay pastor and a dad in a multiracial family. These pandemic days that we have been navigating have really forced me, and perhaps you as well, to think deeply and well about the things that are in our circle of care. What are we bringing our attention and love to? What are we allowing in that circle of care? For me, it is an increasing awareness of how we as a human family have really deeply otherized one another and created divisions that are ultimately harming us collectively, creating harm on a large scale through the disconnecting from one another, through the blaming of one another, through the invective that we are labeling at one another. Now, this is not to say that there are not behaviors, forms of oppression that are atrocious, and those things do exist. But we have work to do ourselves within our houses of worship, within the local communities that we've chosen to belong to look carefully at how we are bringing alive our ethic, our commitment to love and care as every denomination, every religious flavor that we can look toward calls us to do, to live into love and compassion and care for one another. Now, the times we're in, you know as well as I do, trying to universally bring that alive everywhere, that may be too lofty of a goal in these times, but certainly in the communities we've chosen to belong to, we've chosen to be there for good reason. We've found resonance. We have found ethics and an approach that deeply resonates with us, spiritual values that speak to who we are. Those are the places to begin. Those are the places to begin looking at, what does inclusivity look like here? Who isn't a part of my community but living nearby? I wonder why. I wonder why some folks don't choose to be a part of our community and choose to be parts of other communities. How can we, whoever that we is, whatever group, community it might be, how can we expand beyond who we are today to live more deeply into open-heartedness and love and care? How can we build sustained, ongoing relationships across difference? Here too, we can get caught up in trying to do the pie in the sky, the hardest thing first. How do we even just build up relationship, ongoing sustained relationship with other like-minded communities or groups or people that are committed to the same types of transformation and growth, embodiment of spiritual goodness, good-heartedness that we ourselves are? Healing the divisions across the globe or in our nation as a whole might be a very grand ideal that we continue to strive towards, and we should not lose our commitment to build better right where we are, right wherever our feet find us, whichever communities and groups we're moving within. The intersection of LGBTQIA+, the longing in that alphabet of communities to live into the fullness of dignity, equality, justice. That longing echoed in other communities throughout our nation. Black communities, Latinx communities, many other communities, often intersecting as people holding a multiplicity of identities find their way into our lives and into our local houses of worship? How do we honor that multiplicity of experience without trying to change the other person? How do we honor ourselves across difference, stepping into true authenticity, integrity, and inclusiveness? It begins with each and every one of us striving to be that presence, encouraging and inviting others close to us within group or community to live into the same. Be the transformation our culture, our society, our world needs. It rests with each and every one of us to do what we can right where we are.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Loriana Lee Knapp, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the chair of the membership committee here at First Unitarian Church. I also participate on the welcoming congregation team, assist Reverend Diana and Nathan to host our new friends gathering, volunteer teach in the elementary RE classes, and facilitate completing the circle meetings from time to time. You'll probably also spot me here and there participating in various First UC classes and events. Welcome and thank you. Every Sunday, we take an offering. Since 2002, all the cash and designated checks from that offering have gone directly to external and nonprofit organizations doing good work in our community, our Change for Change partners. This month, our Change for Change partner is The Last Mile. The Last Mile is a nonprofit breaking the mass incarceration cycle by combating recidivism through in-person education and post-release mentorship. Funds raised from Change for Change will go in support of the in-prison coding program at the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center. You may wish to make your donations using a credit card through our website, or this could be a good time to find your checkbook, write out a check, and put it aside to mail to First Unitarian on Tuesday morning. Oh, Monday morning. Let today's offering reflect our highest aspirations for the work of this church and the world.
Thank you, Loriana. And our offertory today is True Colors by Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly, performed today by Ella Tracy and Zoe Epperson.
The sad eyes. Don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all. The darkness inside you can make you feel so small. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, call me up because you know I'll be there. And I'll see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful. This world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear. Call me up because you know I'll be there. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors, true colors are shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
Yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of the mass shooting at Pulse, an LGBTQIA plus nightclub in Orlando, Florida, in which 49 people, most of them people of color, were killed. After this horrible act of violence, UU minister Reverend Karen G. Johnston wrote a prayer, which I'd like to share with you today. It is no less relevant now than it was then. This is a prayer for those lost in the Orlando massacre by Reverend Karen Johnston. I am sad. I am mad. I am afraid. These small words keep repeating in my head and heart. We give voice to our grief because of the lives stolen in Orlando, gay and lesbian and trans lives, Latino and Latina lives, beloved, cherished lives. We give voice to our prayers for lasting comfort for their families, healing for those injured, respite for those who offered the gift of rescue and who will be forever changed by what they saw. It is hard to look at the news, yet it is just as hard to turn away. I see these lost lives, and I know that even without having met them, that I love them. These sweet dancing ones, these cheeky loving ones, these mostly brown ones, these beloved queer ones, they are God's children, every single one of them. The universe sang in each and every one of their heads, hearts, and hands. And even if they find a reason or a motivation for this horrible act of violence, it will never make sense. Our hearts will go on aching. Some of us just want to cry. Some of us just want to lash out. Some of us just want to hide. I am sad. I am mad. I am afraid. Yes, but not only these things. I am still here. I am still alive. Yes, I might be tired, but I will also be brave, brave enough to meet violence with peace, to meet hate with love, to meet shadow with light. I will try to be brave. If you are not feeling brave, you can have some of mine. If I am not feeling brave, I will borrow some of yours. We will add our brave together, add it all up so that our brave together light will outshine the shadow. I am sad. I am mad. I am afraid, but I am also brave. Please join me in a moment of silence as we honor and remember all those, our beautiful siblings who have been lost too early to hatred, to violence. May they rest in power and in peace. Amen. And remaining in a spirit of prayer, I'd like to play this meditative hymn for you. It's called "The Light Comes as a Rainbow" by Amanda Udis Kessler.
The light comes as a rainbow, infusing us with colors, assuring us of welcome, a covenant of care. The rainbow fills horizons, surrounding us with beauty, reminding us to honor the love that's always there. The light lives in our bodies, inspiring us to wonder, inviting us to passion, a covenant of joy. The rainbow is a present, a gift to all creation, a promise from the holy to bless and not destroy. The light grows in our healing, it draws us to each other, it helps us to imagine a covenant of peace. The rainbow is a model of difference in relation, apart and yet together, the colors never cease.
Just a few months ago, a fragment of the original Pride flag showed up in someone's closet. The very first rainbow flag was created by Gilbert Baker in 1978, when activist and San Francisco City Supervisor Harvey Milk asked him to come up with a symbol for the LGBTQ community. Baker knew that the symbol needed to be a flag. As he would later explain it many years later, quote, "I thought of the American flag with its 13 stripes and 13 stars, the colonies breaking away from England to form the United States. I thought of the vertical red, white, and blue tricolor from the French Revolution and how both flags owed their beginnings to a riot, rebellion, or revolution. I thought a gay nation should have a flag too, to proclaim its own idea of power. As inspiration for this flag, he looked to nature itself. The rainbow was ultimately nature's flag. It seemed appropriate since the people the flag would represent, their loves, their lives, were also natural. Baker's flag had 8 colors, and each color represented a different aspect of what it is to be human, different elements of every person. Hot pink represented human sexuality in all its forms. Red represented life. Orange was for healing. Yellow for the sun. Green for nature. Turquoise for magic. Blue for serenity. Purple for the spirit. Just as nature never copyrighted the rainbow, Gilbert Baker never copyrighted his flag because he wanted it to belong to everyone. After that first Pride, on June 25th, 1978, Baker's flag was stored in a leaky building Damaged by mildew, Baker cut the damaged part out, keeping only a fragmented piece of the original flag. It was then put back in a box. In 2017, Gilbert Baker died, and then that fragment showed up in someone's closet earlier this year. From the time that first flag was hand-stitched until now, the symbol of LGBTQIA+ pride has changed. In 1979, the hot pink stripe disappeared for a very practical reason. That color of fabric turned out to be too expensive. That left 7 stripes, so one more needed to drop out, turquoise, to leave an even number, leaving the flag that we all know today: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Those 6 colors in that order have become the international symbol of LGBTQIA+ pride. On June 26, 2014, when the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, the White House was illuminated in these colors, as was New York's Empire State Building and Disney World's Cinderella Castle. Gilbert Baker lived to see that day, and he was overwhelmed with joy to see his hippie flag become a worldwide symbol. Almost from the beginning, though, Baker's flag wasn't the only one. As the annual Pride Festival became more legitimate, even respectable in corporate circles, some voices were shut out at the expense of others. To no one's surprise, white, cisgender male voices were privileged, and it seemed that only some people really owned the rainbow. This led to the emergence of flags representing more marginalized groups. Today, at the annual Pride celebration, you may see flags representing lesbian, bisexual, trans, intersex, asexual, polyamorous, pansexual, gender fluid, and many other identities and sexualities. But something else began to happen in 2017, the year Gilbert Baker died. Instead of creating new separate flags for different identities within the LGBTQIA+ community, some people began highlighting marginalized identities within the rainbow flag. In 2017, LGBTQIA+ folks in Philadelphia unveiled a new flag with black and brown stripes added to represent people of color who had previously been marginalized, ignored, and even intentionally excluded from local pride celebrations. 1 year later, Portland, Oregon-based artist Daniel Quasar launched what he called the progressive flag. This flag takes the basic 6-stripe pride flag and adds a chevron with the colors of the transgender flag, along with brown and black stripes representing both LGBTQIA+ people of color and all those who have been lost to AIDS. By 2020, the 50th anniversary of Pride, the progressive flag had really taken off, fueled in part by the energy around Black Lives Matter protests after the murder of George Floyd, and by the desire to recognize the role of trans women of color like Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who were instrumental in the 1969 uprising at the Stonewall Inn. These stripes are in the shape of an arrow, indicating forward movement, but they are set off to the left, indicating that there is still much work to be done. But the evolution of the pride flag doesn't end there. This year, intersex writer Valentino Vecchietti designed a new intersex inclusive flag, which pulls in the yellow and purple colors from the intersex flag, along with the circle that symbolizes completeness, wholeness, as opposed to brokenness or the need to be fixed. And so it is that the traditional 6-stripe pride flag flies in the company of an increasing number of other flags, including those that are separate from it and others that are variations of it. The history of the pride flag has a lesson within it, not just for the LGBTQIA plus rights movement, but for every progressive movement, including our own liberal faith. You may begin with the beautiful idea of equity and inclusion, but if in reality, some people within the movement are more equal than others, then a correction must happen. Those people who were at the margins need to be pulled into the center so that finally, ultimately, at some point in the future, the original beautiful idea can become manifest. With the Progress Pride flag, you can imagine the space at the far left of the flag that cuts into the rainbow with the colors and symbols of one marginalized group after another, moving forward like an arrow until all identities within the larger community are fully represented, until the vision of the original flag, that idea about the universals of human experience, is finally true. So it is with our democracy. It becomes necessary to say Black Lives Matter because those lives historically haven't mattered as much as white lives, at least not legally, economically, and politically. It's by bringing the voices of those who have been silenced into the center of the conversation that we might finally achieve what the poet Langston Hughes wrote nearly 100 years ago. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be. The land where every man is free. Oh, yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. And within our own faith tradition, it has become necessary for us to look at how that wonderful affirmation of the inherent worth and dignity of every person has been manifested in our implicit culture, in our words, our traditions, our daily actions, and how it hasn't. And as I know I've said over and over like a mantra now, for those who realize that their particular culture has been at the center all along, it becomes necessary to get uncomfortable, to step aside, to make space for other identities and perspectives, so that the beautiful vision of our hopeful faith might finally be a lived reality. In this way, we might live into the vision as described by modern day poet Reverend Teresa Soto, quote, "In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone." Unquote. I want to return to that image of the original 8-color pride flag, that flag that was the symbol of a dream in which all people, regardless of their gender, sexuality, race, class, disability, ethnicity, or faith, could be fully recognized as sharing in those experiences that cross all difference. Hot pink represents human sexuality in all its forms, including asexuality. Sexuality in all its pleasure, joy, messiness, horribleness, confusion, surprise, seriousness, and silliness. Life is represented by the color red. Red, like the blood that courses through our veins regardless of the blood type, regardless of our genetic heritage or what we look like on the outside. Life that is valued as a precious gift, as something that by all accounts should not be and yet is. Life that is both tenacious and incredibly fragile. Life that at an individual level is so short and so fleeting, and yet at the level of nature itself goes on and on into the future, perhaps forever. Orange stands for healing. There is a quote that is often misattributed to the philosopher Plato: "Be kind, for everyone you know is fighting a hard battle." And I would also say, be kind, for everyone you know is healing, or at any rate is in need of healing. The specific shape and condition of our wounds may be different, and some of us are more wounded than others, but all of us need to be healed from the trauma of racism and white supremacy, white people as well as people of color. All of us need to be healed from living in a culture in which we are too often seen as commodities, consumers, demographic data points, or stereotypes, instead of the multi-dimensional, complex beings that we are. All of us need to be healed from the wounding lie of stand alone, pull yourself up from your own bootstraps individualism. The lie that all of us are on our own, that I matters more than we. Yellow is for the sun that shines on all of us, that warms us and feeds us, that gives life and burns it away. Green is for nature. Nature, like life, is both tenacious and fragile, constantly changing and eternal. Nature that holds us all. And because all human beings are a part of nature, there is no aspect of human love, human sexuality, human identity that is, quote, against nature. By default, the full spectrum of human experience is natural. Turquoise is for magic. How wonderful that is, and how sad that this color was lost along the way, because it reminds us that every single person, even the most analytical atheist and science-based skeptic, even the most vigilant evangelist, even the most life-worn worker, haggard and slogging from one deadline to the next, has within them the spark of magic. Every single one of us has the capability of a magician who can create something good or something bad out of nothing. Who, when necessity dictates, can pull a rabbit out of a hat, can pull hope out of thin air. Blue is for serenity. The thing that in yoga is called sukha, that good place within us, that capacity for calmness, even in the middle of chaos. On the original flag, this wasn't just any blue. It was a deep indigo. Indigo, like the inky dark depth of a lake that remains still, even when a hurricane rages on the surface. The stillness that is available to all of us, that isn't accessible only to the rich, as much as advertisers might want to convince us that peace and comfort must be bought. Beyond all difference, beyond identity, there is a deep sea of serenity in which we all may swim. And finally, purple is for the Spirit. But what Spirit? The Holy Spirit? The endless list of spirits of that you ministers are so fond of reciting? Spirit of life, spirit of love, spirit of justice, spirit of peace. Yes, all of those. And also the spirit that is the breath of life. What the ancient Hebrews called ruach, what the Hindus call prana, what many call chi. That metaphorical and literal breath that, as we all were reminded by the coronavirus, connects us all, flows between us all, regardless of who we are. In Hebrew scripture, after the great flood, God sends a rainbow as a symbol of his covenant with humanity, as a promise that he will never again destroy his creation. At least not with water. But a rainbow can be so much more than a promise that bad things will not happen anymore. It can be a promise of the future good. It can be a sign of the covenant, not only with God or with life, but with all other humans, with each and every human being, and all their sameness, all their uniqueness, and all their beauty, and all the colors. Our closing hymn, I'm sure many of you know, it's called Rainbow Connection, written by Paul Williams and Kenneth Asher, and it's performed here by our own Sarah Gray.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that wishes would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Someone else thought of that, and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. Oh, what's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell. We know that it's probably magic. Have you been sleeping? And have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. The lovers, the dreamers and me.
And Mordecai, would you extinguish our chalice?
Yes. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of love and community, which burns in our hearts.
This will be my last service with you for a while. Next week will be a special service offered by Meadville Lombard Theological School, which is the theological school from which I graduated and where I now serve on the board. And the week after that, we'll be sharing the Sunday worship service streamed live from General Assembly. Over July and August, there will be a mix of lay-led services with some wonderful guest ministers and a couple of virtual field trips to UU congregations in other capital cities where they're expecting you, starting with Boise and Boston. During this time, I'll be taking some needed vacation and study leave. I'll be resting, reading, and getting ready for next year when we'll be starting a whole new chapter for this congregation. As of September, we'll be moving to a multi-platform model where we will meet in person and offer online options for those who can't be on site. I'm so excited about this new phase, but it's going to take a lot of work for all of us. So I hope that you all will get some rest over the summer too. As for today, after the postlude, I hope you'll grab a cup of coffee and come back for a virtual coffee hour where we'll break out into small groups for casual conversation. But let's end this service with a blessing. Go now in peace. Go to serve. Go to do the good work that only you can do. May your light shine. May you hold the flag of your truth, your sacred identity, and your community high for all to see. And may you know for yourself the beauty of your true colors. Most important of all, love. 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 Amen. Our postlude comes to us once again thanks to First Unitarian Brooklyn Choir. It's Here Comes the Sun, written by the Beatles.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. It's all right.
Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. It's all right. Ooh. our soul.